What a wonderful day. I sure hope no one makes an escape room that's obscenely
This is
bad.
something that can change Minecraft forever, and I'd love to tell you what it is.
I should
but
really
you have
just
to
give
show
up.
me that you deserve to know it.
Okay, stay with me, please. I know I've done this before, and I know it was a little repetitive, but this time it's going to be different, because I have not one, but two escapists to debunk. But not only that, what you saw in the beginning of the video was a small portion of what's to come, because it gets much worse. I will go into it very shortly, but first of all, I think we should really get into the redeeming qualities of these escape rooms. Okay, now, so that's done. Let's get into it. Parrot's video opens up on a quest line with a player in red armor trims leading them down many quests and trials with another player named Wifies. The ringleader for all of this is a player named Spocus here, communicating solely through music discs. One quest leads to another, and they eventually end up at an escape room. And while I don't mind the lore, it does excuse some parts in the escape room that I don't really like. That being, they're basically forced to strip all of their armor off in order to participate in an escape room. But once they get in, they're not restricted from picking up any of the carpet or anything surrounding them, except for the fact that there's wardens which may or may not attack them. Alas, this is only where the problems begin. Now keep in mind this is a survival-friendly escape room, so it has to be designed as such. And while I will give some slack, I won't give slack for many things. Like, first of all, this escape room is clearly intended to have 2 people, so why is there only 1 button for wardens? On top of that, 1 person can mine while the other person presses the button. There's nothing stopping them from breaking the glass and collecting the button. While you won't be able to disable a warden, you can still collect the sign. Another offense is that you could just simply mine out if you have another person pressing the button. While this escape room is suspended high above the land, it still doesn't stop you from just falling out of the side. Yes, mining the obsidian will take a while, but you still have that option, and the wardens don't seem to have any limit for how many times you could press the button, so there's nothing really stopping you there. However, this all pales in comparison to the both unintuitive and convoluted solution of finding a hopper underneath a piston. This combines not only the unintuitiveness of finding something out of view, also just making the solution a hopper. This is not an escape room, this is a find the button with a few extra tricks. And this is only the first room. Moving to the second room, it doesn't get much better. In fact, Parrot only showed one side of the escape room and intentionally left the other side blank. Why, you might be asking? Well, there's no warden on that side, so there's no content. In fact, you can mine quite a lot of stuff over here. You can even escape if you felt like it, or just mine the wall between the two of you. Possibilities are really endless. Did I say you can't mine because of the warden? Sorry, no, I meant you can't mine obsidian because of the warden. You can mine the glass that's scattered around this room, which prevent you from getting things in this room. I felt I should mention that, considering it kind of breaks the entire purpose of this room. At the very least, I'd expected a warden on each side, but that's not even what I got. Instead, with the materials in this room, you can completely demolish the entire escape room and cheese everything. Or maybe not, because I'll show you why this entire thing is completely pointless once we get to the major room. Now, in the last room, there's not much cheese, but I did want to say that you can actually make the second player get to the redstone clock above, because the puzzles at the bottom only require 1 player, and it's really just easier with 2. Following this setup placed by player 1, I can easily get to the glass ceiling and break it, obtaining some redstone components and a trap door needed to solve the puzzle in the end. Again, this is not major, but it is still a big thing to point out. Unfortunately, this is where everything starts breaking down. The puzzle gets convoluted, it gets harder to notice things, and it's overall a worse puzzle than that. And for what? Just to have a bigger escape room? Really? Is that it? And seemingly so, that is it. There's a whole list of problems with this escape room, but I'll go over the 3 major ones that I saw as the issue. For starters, in Parrot's video, it shows that there's a spider spawner. This is one of the biggest mistakes I could ever find in an escape room, let alone this high stakes of an escape room. Having a spider spawner essentially is giving you infinite blocks for this seemingly open-aired escape room. Once you gather enough string, you can create wool blocks to just tower out of there. And you may not even need to do that if you don't want to, because all the walls are made out of black concrete. Essentially what I'm saying is, with enough time and dedication, you can break your way out of here by just breaking the blocks on the edges. This won't be a problem because there's an ocean just outside the map. And not only that, this entire escape room is just unnecessarily large. I understand it's for the shock factor, but you don't really need to make things that hidden. While I appreciate the nods and hints to things, everything is a little too spaced out and can lead to even more cheeses that I haven't even mentioned. Not even to mention the blocks you'll have from the previous escape room. On top of this, once you get to the choke point, you don't really know which blocks to use. After this point, you're kind of just praying and hoping that you have the right blocks at the right time in order to get to the very end. And if you don't, you're kind of just screwed. The only thing saving you from this is the actual cheese of having a spider spawner. And look, this does actually make me quite disappointed, because the next part of the escape room is actually decently promising. Yes, it still has its flaws of its own, but it seems a little bit better. If I had to rate this one, it would be the second worst part of the escape, but it is the largest part in terms of actual puzzles. But with that being said, it's very disjointed. It's not a cohesive puzzle, and it doesn't really flow into each other until you really get to the end. In fact, it's even more inconsistent with the fact it doesn't have wardens in it, which completely leaves open the fact for mining out. There's no reason now not to mine out, except for the Elder Guardians, which again, it's just a matter of time if you want to do this. And time may not be a big problem because in the video I calculated the Elder Guardian cycles, and it at least took around an hour. And not to nitpick, but even if the sugarcane puzzle was done right, it's kind of useless if you look at it in the right way. What I mean by that, by simply, it's just a non-puzzle. You could just stack 2 blocks if you really wanted to, and it would be a similar puzzle. I do like the fact that you can see the exit from very early in this part of the escape room, but what I don't like is basically everything else. We'll never truly know what the right way to escape this escape room is because Parrot found a cheese, and it was just too easy to do that rather than what's actually expected. And I don't blame him. The actual solution is probably really convoluted. I say this whole escape room just boils down to a 3 out of 10. 3 standing for Watto debunked this out of 10. Okay, that was corny. With that out of the way, I do have some final important words regarding this escape room. In all seriousness, I'm being a little bit harsh for the sake of the content of the video. Parrot's doing a really good job with this series. It's insanely interesting and I highly recommend you watch it. But overall, this wasn't a terrible escape room and, it could have used some better things, but it was definitely no Om's cool escape room. Speaking of the creator, I haven't really checked who created this escape room. I feel like that would be kind of important to know, given that I'm shitting on them constantly. Alright, so it's just down here. Oh, come on!